quiet.
What did I do? Oh, I
Hi.
fixed it.
Hey.
Hi. As if I don't know what I'm doing. Hello.
It's your first
Welcome.
show.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. You're so
Hello.
nice. Hello. Oh, and you, especially you. Welcome back. It's been a
I'm
while.
back.
You are back.
Jenna let me out of her basement after that long hiatus.
I gotta let you breathe sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Gotta
Just
feed
a
me
little bit.
instead of just throwing me scraps.
I figured okay, maybe, people are tired of just seeing me and Justin's face for the last 2 weeks. So okay, let's just throw you in there. Throw you in the lion's den.
Oh yeah, that's
How you been?
pretty good. Just a lot of chilling, working from home, so I'm never late for my commute. And then, doing some stuff for the Recovering from Religion Foundation.
Never late for your commute. I barely caught that. I'm slow and tired. But that's good. Oh, so wait. I don't think last time you were a RFR contributor. So now you are officially.
Yeah, from that however long ago I was on.
That was a few
So
weeks.
we started talking about it a little bit before we went live, but you're currently helping them get through their backlog of live RFRX recordings, and you're editing them so that they can upload it to YouTube, correct?
So it's interesting. It's funny just seeing, just getting rid of all those technical difficulties and everything. And it's just, you feel like you're in the know because you get to see everything before it gets released. Or you're you're second in the know because all those people who watched it before watched it.
I was like, yeah, we host it on the ACD server and we watch it live.
Whatever. It's too slow for me. I have to watch everything at like double speed. So like trying to edit it and listen to it was agonizing because it was just too slow for me.
So you kind of just speed through it and like try to catch anomalies as you're flying through it?
No, I bite through the pain and I just it's like an hour and a half long or something, so it's like listening to that like once or twice through.
Well, I think the one from Tuesday or Monday was Anthony Magnabosco, so that one should be good when you get to it.
Okay. Yeah, it'll be a little bit because we're still in November, I think, right now. So like the one I did was from November 13th, I think. So yeah, we're a bit behind, but we're working on them. We have 2 people. I think we have 2 people who are doing them and trying to get 2 each week. So they'll catch up eventually.
Yeah, I remember because, sometimes I do assist with updating like whoever's the weekly guest, I guess you could say, on the ACD server. I like update all the resource information about who's the guest is, and usually a week after they have the video but for a while they weren't uploading videos. I'm like, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a backlog since. So that makes sense. Well, thank you for helping them.
No problem.
And, glad to have you back with us. And glad to have everyone here in the chat with us too. Audie Man, our fan favorite. What's up? What's up? Also got L. What's up, lady? L is isn't L RFR? No. No, that's Hell's Bells. I'm thinking of Bells. Sorry, I confused the two. But L is cool too still. Is there a topic or theme for this episode? We're going to get right into that, Jane Doe, you mysterious person, you. So we'll get there. Roland Storm, good to see you again. And hello again to Ollie Man.
Well, I heard somebody say that. I heard somebody, I think it's called the International Freethinkers, saying that the topic is poor people be like.
Yes, that darn bot. Let me find this. Yes, whoever wrote that. Poor people be like. No. So I guess you can. Once I edit back, I'll probably make that the title. A good text. Yeah. Welcome back, everyone. It was, your favorite show Thursday evening for all 5 of our fans. Love ya. Good to see ya. I'm a little high. I'm on a strong dose of Tylenol because my back hurts.
It's a wild night for Jena.
It's a wild night. This isn't wine. I am, a responsible medical provider. This is.
She only drinks on the job.
This is exactly. That's how I get through the day. It's the only way I can get through the day. This is Snapple in a fancy glass. Justin, what are you drinking?
Iced tea.
Justin has iced tea. Raspurrtin.
Yeah, I haven't had anything.
Water.
I haven't had alcohol since our night with Neil.
Oh yeah, I love to relive that. You
That
know what
was
I
a long
love?
one.
You know what it should have been recorded. You and
Well,
that.
that after show was far more entertaining and terrible.
It was both far more entertaining and terrible at the same damn time. And it was great. I enjoyed it. Well, anyway.
Jane, I don't. We're gonna. I mean, we'll probably bring it up, the Wall Street bets. I don't know how much we're gonna talk about it because I don't know if any of us really know what's going on. I've seen memes. I've seen some analogies, and I've seen some fairly thorough explanations that we can actually bring them up on the screen. But I don't understand it well enough to talk about it, other than a lot of people on Reddit and Facebook are celebrating because a lot of rich people are losing money.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the only time to celebrate.
Really. You are right, Elle. You found me out. Dang. Anyway, why people be like? I mean, no, that's not the topic. I'm sorry.
Whoa, that's next week.
It's just Jena gonna roast the two of us white people.
I mean, I love to. It's almost Black History Month. Hey. Okay. So poor people be like, you know, it's funny because we didn't really have a topic going in today. So it's always nice to kind of free ball it. Is that the phrase? I don't know. Just kind of
It's a word.
come
That'll
up.
work.
Yeah, it's a word. It's a word.
That is a word.
I forgot what I was gonna say. I'm sorry. I apologize. No, but you know, credit to my main man here. Interesting conversation, just the little tidbit that we had over the phone, just in regards to the struggles of what poor people go through as far as getting by on a day-to-day basis. Justin, lead me in.
What do you mean?
Start the.
Oh, you brought it up. I thought you were gonna
start the presentation. Start the PowerPoint.
I initiated.
I thought you were gonna say something profound.
I thought I did.
No, I was. We talked about this a bit earlier, but one of the things that I had a conversation with somebody in person earlier, is about how difficult it is to get out of the cycle of being poor, and how it feels like everything is kind of rigged against you to just kind of stay in that cycle. So, I mean, obviously, we know that we have socioeconomic movement that you can get out, you can lift yourself up. It's possible, but the way all of our justice system and our legal systems are designed to they disproportionately affect poor people versus people that are well off or have a lot of money. And one of the examples that I brought up earlier when we were talking is even something as simple as like traffic fines or tickets or court fees. If a speeding ticket is $140, that's gonna affect somebody making 30 grand a year significantly different than it will affect somebody making 100 grand a year or 200 grand a year. It won't even register on their radar as a punishment. When you're making so much money versus somebody who's not making that much, that's a big chunk of their change. I mean, that might even be half of their paycheck for the week.
Yeah.
So it's a very unequal punishment for the similar offense when you take their economic positions into account, and that's across the board for anything. Pretty much our whole justice system is set up like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And a lot of things that are regulated by the government. So health insurance costs, car insurance, just fees for anything. Even stuff like rent or your bills. Then we start talking about expendable, or not expendable, but just money that people have left over out of their check to spend on and dump back into the economy after all their bills and stuff. And just, poor people or people of lower, this economic status, they just don't have a lot of extra money to do that. So, it's one of the things they don't really talk about when they talk about the, when they don't talk about when they talk about raising the minimum wage and stuff is that, all the money that poor people are making is going to go right back into their neighborhood. Into small business and local businesses, whereas people that have a lot more money, all of their extra money goes into investments in banks and stocks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because they're already spending the amount that they're going to spend.
So, and the example I said, and I'll dial back to what Stitix has put. Hi, Stitix. Thanks for joining. I had said, and I don't know if this is with all states in the U.S., but at least with mine, it's illegal for you to drive without car insurance. And the cost of living in California is don't even try to move here. It's ridiculous. And so when you have a person only making maybe just slightly above poverty level income, which is maybe, okay, let's say 30 grand a year, and then you need to have a car to get to work and all that stuff, but you can't even afford car insurance, you're already setting them up for failure by making it a legal requirement to have car insurance, but you can't possibly afford it. And sure, there may be those lower, lesser known insurance companies that will offer you coverage, but like some form of coverage, but it's not, adequate. It's just something to get you by. You pay for what you get, essentially. And so, when you drive the costs of things and not drive up, a standard or a livable wage for people, not raising the minimum wage for people to at least make that the bottom platform to raise us above that poverty line, you just keep setting up the lower income families for failure, and you keep putting them down when they can't afford the essential things, especially the things that are labeled as legal requirements to get by.
Yeah, we see the same thing, and there's a big complaint, and it's a little partisan, but with the health insurance. So the individual mandate was a big deal, and I don't know what the current status of that is. If they struck it down, I think they declared it unconstitutional. But you're basically charging people for not paying for health insurance and fining them for it, and it's tough. But what like we were talking about is if you have bad credit, then it costs more to get credit. Your interest rates go through the roof.
Right.
So every time you either you screw up or you're in a bad place financially, just doing the next thing that's not just regular everyday stuff just costs more. What Jane Doe brought up is bail is similar. So cash bail is there's a lot of people trying to get rid of cash bail right now because it's like I said, it's crazy that you can basically just buy your way out, you buy your freedom is what that is. And it's not necessarily that you're free, but they consider it paying your debt just to being away, and then also kind of having that money tied into the court so that you come back, so you don't skip out on your court date. But again, it affects people disproportionately. Some people can't afford bail, so they just stay in, and that shows a lack of support system, and so it looks like it automatically kind of skews toward a worse outcome, or they what was I going to say? Or if they do have to do bail, they have to borrow it, which costs a lot of money.
Right.
But again, if you're rich, it
It's
doesn't
nothing.
really affect you. I mean,
Pocket
now
change.
they do set, you know, exorbitant bail amounts on a lot of cases, and sometimes for rich people. But again, it's just another. I mean, there's endless examples of
Mhm.
where the systems are not in favor of poor people, and it's disproportionately affects them.
Right. No, it's so funny that you bring that up, Jane Doe, because I remember there being a proposition in the last election for California. I was just trying to look it up really quick too. It was Prop 25 for replacing the cash bail. It didn't. It was defeated, so we're still working towards it. So we still have, or yeah, so we still have to effectively find a way to strike down cash bail here in my state. Because
Yeah, and if you don't have a credit history, landlords or creditors will reject you. Yeah, for somehow we've decided collectively that your credit score, credit report, just translates to your worthiness of everything.
yeah, it's the end all
Um,
be all.
you know, we can tell people that, you know, people want to fight for their constitutional rights, but um, you know, then we give landlords the power to say, if my credit is bad, you can deny me a place to live.
It's crazy.
Um, and that's even for renting for anything. Um, you know, if you try to, you know, buy a car or rent a house or apartment or anything, they actively look for ways to discriminate and to you know, filter out people that are that they might even have a good job or good money, but since they made some bad decisions before, or just whatever it is, they're looking for ways to stop people from, you know, bringing themselves out of debt and out of poverty.
hmm And it's so funny, like it just hit me now thinking about this. Two different things, and I'll give you a chance to kind of tag in a little bit here, Raspurrtin. Just thinking that, from what I was told from like my parents or whatever kind of advice they get, that they gave us, me and my sister, is that once you became an adult, you have to try to establish credit early because that puts you in a place
Yeah.
to, essentially become that first homeowner, to build some type of credit history for yourself. Because having what they said, a young credit history is bad, but
Yep.
when you have an older one and you have like active credit cards that don't have too much overbalances or not too many late payments or not any late payments, actually, because if you have one, that shit hurts you. Trust me, I know. When I had to buy my current house with my sister some odd years ago, like I had one late payment on a credit card and it stays on your credit history for like 6 to 8 months or something. And then I had to wait for some time period or pay something completely down for it to raise my credit score, just for me to be adequate enough to co-sign with my sister on purchasing a house. And I'm like, that's fucking
Mm.
crazy over one late payment. Like, and going back to my point is that it's a setup. It's a setup that we're trained to think like, okay, I'm an adult now. I got to open up a credit card to have an established credit line so that I can have this excellent 700 plus credit score so I can buy a good home and not pay so much out of pocket for mortgage and all that stuff. It's a trap. It's a purposeful trap. And then on the other end, a few years back, my family took this religious financial freedom class. I don't
Was it what's
um,
his name? Dave Ramsey, is that him?
yes,
That's him.
fucking yes. It was his training video of like 14 weeks. We only attended like 5 because we got tired of it. I sure as hell did. It was like this training video, exactly, Dave Ramsey that he had. And he essentially said, don't have a credit. Don't open a credit up at
Yep.
all. Just essentially don't have any credit cards, don't have any student loans, don't open any type of thing that establishes you having any line of credit where you owe someone. And then I'm like, okay, how did you grow up? How did you afford what you afford now? How did you go to school? How the hell am I supposed to pay to school if I can't get a loan for something? But he furthered his point in saying he has a 0 credit score. And that effectively, what that means is if you have a 0 credit score, you don't essentially have a credit history. There needs to be something on paper, since that holds so much weight, to judge if you are eligible to buy this home. And so the fact, and he showed an example where him having that 0 credit score caused him to be denied to get a home loan or to purchase a house, even at the fact that he had out-of-pocket cash. And I'm like, that's great if you have that out-of-pocket cash, but who the fuck has that all the time? So it both ends is a trap. And when he said that bullshit, I was like, I'm done with this mess. But anyway, yes, that's my rant.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to hear anything as a like palate cleanser to Dave Ramsey, I listened to the Phil Ferguson podcast, and you know, Phil Ferguson is an atheist activist, but he's also a financial expert. So or a financial consultant, whoever. So he has a podcast, and sometimes he just talks about that, and he like rips into Dave Ramsey about the whole like credit and debt thing too. So it's just kind of fun. But yeah, like when it comes to like these systems and stuff, you try to think about like there's so many things, like whether it's politics or financial, and we're like, these systems are terrible, we need to get rid of them, but they're just so ingrained in like our society that how do you get rid of it? And I think another thing is like there should be a class in like high school just called like the class of life, and every single you have to take it throughout your entire 4 years. It just teaches you like tax stuff and like how to take care of it. Should just be called School of Life, and that's like, it just has like every week or so it just teaches you a bunch of random stuff on how to like live, like how to do mortgages and how to do that. And like my mom is like a H&R Block tax advisor, and she was saying how I guess one time she like taught a class or tried to, and she's like, well, none of them were paying attention. And I'm like, well, do the class anyway, have it be for the entire year, through the entire 4 years, you know. Some of the kids are going to learn something, and like some of them will just take notes, some of them won't pay attention at all, but it doesn't mean you just don't teach it, because there's just like so much stuff that you just go into the world and have no idea how to do, especially with money stuff, especially with credit stuff. And you know, there's this one person who's on a financial one, she's like, oh, I thought I could just use my credit card and then never pay it off, and you're like, no, don't do that.
Oh, no.
Like, do not do that.
You learn the hard way.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that do that when they turn 18. They just rack up thousands of dollars of debt. Jane Doe mentioned that
I'm going back to the comments. Sorry.
Yeah, the one where it says that creates a cycle of disadvantaged communities, because you were talking about co-signing and buying a house with your sister, and that's an important point. Is that this isn't just an individual thing, right? Because an individual, even if their credit and all their financial situation is screwed up, if they have a solid support system with other people that are well off, they can co-sign for them, and it's all a wash until they can fix their own situation. But when you don't have that support system, you don't have people in your community that are capable of making up for that, it starts to, you know, slowly over time bring down everybody in the community. And you know, I wouldn't, you know, I don't know if I could say that it's designed to be that way, but it's definitely the way that it plays out, and nobody's working to fix it. And they said that you kind of get pigeonholed in these communities where you have to find a community that accept you when you have a 600 credit score and a repo and late credit cards or bankruptcies and all this stuff. And you know, all the people in the same situation get pushed into these same communities in the same cities, in these places that will accept them. And a lot of times, even these places have predatory, lending and all that stuff. I mean, the poorest neighborhoods have a check and go and cash advance and a loan shop on every corner.
Almost as much as there are Starbucks.
No, they don't. I was going to say they don't have Starbucks in the hood.
Oh, they have Starbucks in the hood.
Maybe in your hood.
In my hood, they do.
But it's a whole, it affects the whole family, the whole community. because solid, financially solid communities can make up for it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they have payday lending all over the place.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
and they will charge you a pretty big fee, even if it's only a day or two in advance. And I've seen it a lot.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about credit, even when you're going to buy a car or even a used car, having a good credit score can mean, or a bad credit score can mean the difference between like 3% interest and 24 to 29 or whatever the cap is percent interest, which
Pro.
translates into can get you to pay 2 to 3 times the value of your vehicle over the life of your loan.
Mm-hmm. I tell you
Uh,
now, I've never seen any interest besides me co-signing on a home loan, my sister, any interest below 20% on any credit card I've ever applied on.
yeah,
Yeah.
you should probably stop getting credit cards.
I don't have I did stop. Only have one. I paid off my credit cards. I'm a good
Oh,
girl.
see, that's the problem. You don't have enough debt to show other lenders that you're going to pay your debt. That's how it works.
Trap. It's a trap. Hi, Mike. Hello, Mikey Famine. And Matthew, I clicked the wrong one. Hi. No, shoot. I'm sorry. You were gonna say something, Raspurrtin. I think I was.
I don't remember what I was going to say.
Somebody was.
I got distracted.
It
What was
happens.
I?
It's okay.
Whatever.
It's fine.
Oh,
Um, no, I want actually that's because Stidix made a point of disagreement, and I like it. I'm trying to find it. Yeah, he said not to disagree with the overall point, but it's literally equal punishment and just not equal effect.
mhm.
What does that mean? I know it was
Well, it's
sometime
it's the
earlier
idea
on.
that it's the idea that if I only make $30,000 and Justin makes 100,000 and we're both speeding, 20 miles over the speed limit, well, you did the same crime, so you're each going to get fined, $150 or whatever the ticket is, and so it's technically equal. But if I'm making
Mhm.
30,000, that 150 might be like my grocery money, whereas that's Justin's like 1,500 lattes or 15 lattes he's going to get next week or something. It doesn't really matter to
Mhm.
him. So that's what he means by it's equal punishment, but it doesn't affect everyone equally. It
Well,
seems fair, but it's not
yeah,
really fair.
it's worse than
Right.
15 lattes, right? Because at a certain levels, at certain thresholds, people don't even spend that money, right? It's not
Mhm.
even money that they're going to use to pump back into the economy. They're going to invest it or put it in a bank or just whatever it is, right? So it's not even something that is going to go, help. But um, yeah, so I mean, it's the same as equal opportunity versus equal outcome.
Mhm.
Hmm. Well,
So it's
that's when people argue about the like the what is it universal income, and I feel like there should be a cap on who they send it to, and not just everybody under the sun. Because some people are going to take whatever money it is and just put it in a bank and invest it and not going to use it. But like for most people under a certain threshold, it's just going to go directly to rent, going to go to groceries, going to go to car payments. It's going to go back into the that's like everyone got stimulus checks, but some of the people who, or not everyone, but like a good portion of people up to a certain salary got stimulus checks. But some of the
Oh,
people
goody.
who don't, but some of the people who don't need the stimulus checks still got them, and so they just kind of like pocketed it and didn't have to, you know, they didn't
I
yeah,
go and like,
it's
I tell you that $600 went so fast. I'm sorry, what, Justin?
yeah.
oh, I didn't even see mine. Mine went to my wife's bank and it was gone before it got here. Um,
Oh, wifey.
what was I gonna say? I don't remember. I'll think of it.
That's okay. We'll get right back to you. My former roommates took out a payday title loan and the company lost the title. Oof. I bought the car and it has been an absolute nightmare. That fucking sucks. Just reading the comments here. Uh, even if you have the sum in cash, many car places will not. Yeah, that's true. Accept that. Someone I know was turned away from a dealership for wanting to buy outright. Like, I don't understand. When does cash, like, I want this Tesla. I got 120 grand. Take it. Cash right here in the suitcase. Go, go, go. When does that not be comparable to, oh, I need to see your credit score. I need to run this credit line. I need to get all this extra information just to make sure you're legit or something.
Well, I
Which
mean,
it
banks
doesn't
do
make
it too,
sense from
right?
the car. It doesn't make sense from the car people's perspective because if you get a loan from a bank, the bank's the one that gets any like extra interest or whatever. I don't think the car people get anything unless they get like kickbacks from the bank or something if they get loans.
That's my
Well,
thought.
it depends. So there's liabilities involved in all of this. So it's the same if you deposit over 10 grand or whatever the money number is to a bank. You have to have a paper trail um, showing where that money came from. So if they get audited and they just have all this cash and no records of where it came from and no
Yeah, I
paper
can see
trail
that.
following it back, and then somewhere down the line that money is found to have been gained illegally, it becomes a huge, financial mess for them.
Yeah,
So
but let's assume
they
like the money
prefer,
was. Yeah, I guess, but let's say the money is like legit. You just saved up and then took it all out. I mean, I guess I wouldn't see any reason why they'd. I mean, I guess they're concerned of it's just someone walking around with a big pile of cash and saying, "Hey, can I have this car, please, with this money
right.
I'm just carrying around?"
Yeah, because
But
if you're using a credit card, there's insurance and other financial institutions involved that
mhm.
can insure that. But if you're going to make big cash payments like that, you have to have a paper trail, basically showing and receipts and all kinds of stuff showing where the money came from and how you got it, and it's a hassle because
Yeah.
I mean I know somebody that got an inheritance basically and had enough money to buy their whole house, but it was they basically wouldn't let them do it, and they had to use a portion of it as the down payment and then take out a mortgage and then start making their mortgage payments, but they were able to make like extra payments on the mortgage, but um yeah, it's more about taking on those liabilities.
Hmm. That's crazy. I don't know. I don't know. Skeptics. Hi, Susan. Nice to see you.
I read that wrong. I thought it just said Susan Skeptic, and I was just like, "Oh, okay." I didn't realize it was Skeptits.
It is skeptics. It's okay. You can say the tits. Just scrolling back in the comments here.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Troll the
Matthew
comments.
Randall and them, they make a point is that the car dealerships. So when I just bought a car, and I got a loan through my bank. Because I figured it would be a lot cheaper to go through a bank that I've had for 10 years than um, dealing with some car their finance place. But no, they make a lot of money on their finance, especially used car dealerships. Targeting people with poor credit. They make a lot of money, and it's weird because they have like 2 or 3 or 4 different companies under one building, and they split up all of the the liabilities and stuff between their dealership and their financial company and whatever else they got going on, their service department company. So they're very predatory. Use the whole used car industry, but
Right.
yeah, no, they definitely want you to finance because a lot of times they'll sell cars at their invoice price, which is what they paid for it, and then make up their money on the back end.
Hmm. That makes sense.
Especially if it's a competitive market.
Civic says, so what you do is get a loan, buy the car, immediately pay the loan with the money you would have given the dealership, but
Mhm.
that just shifts who needs to see the paper trail, huh?
Well, your bank might be in a position to take on that potential risky payment that the dealership might not be able to. Right, and that's why your mortgages get sold as soon as you buy a house. Within the first 2 years, most mortgage companies sell your mortgage because you go through you normally go through a small broker and a small company, but they sell that debt to a bigger company that can take the potential financial loss.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a bigger portfolio, a lot more properties under their belt, so they make more money, but they also have a lot more risk and a potential downturn.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's exactly what happened to me. Yeah.
I just
Go
remember
ahead.
I worked for a judge that handled like mortgages and if someone was foreclosing on them or if they had some sort of issue. And just like sometimes the timeline of facts where it was like this person took the mortgage from this company who then sold it to this company, then sold it to this company. And it's just like this long thing. And they're like, but this random company like bought it, but then we don't know where they are and we think they're out of business and we don't know what's going on with them. So you just say that they don't own it anymore so we can just foreclose and not have to worry about them. And I'm just like, this is so much nonsense.
Yeah, I've had a house that I was living in foreclosed because the family member who owned it died before it was paid off. It was a lot of money owned. It wasn't worth trying to buy it. And then my mom just went through the same situation, and her house has been basically, she told the bank a year ago that the owner of the loan or the mortgage died, and nobody's touched it, done anything with it, and it's probably tied up in some stack of paperwork somewhere, and they'll get to it eventually when they figure out what the hell's going on.
Oof. Wow.
And it happens. I mean, people think that when they're losing, especially a house that you're getting a mortgage on, you normally have like 6 to 8 months of just totally no payments, no rent, no mortgage payments, no nothing if you decide to foreclose your home.
Mm,
At least.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
And then
again, same with my judge. She dealt with people who got foreclosed on, but then were like living in the house and just waiting for the bank to kind of finish the foreclosure, and then we're getting kicked out of their house. Sometimes these people have been living in the house like, mortgage free for like 10 years.
Woof.
And she had like and they would come to like the court and be like, please don't kick us out, we need more time. And she had like no sympathy for them. She's like, you've been in this house for free for 10 years, like get out. You had plenty of time and you didn't have to pay the mortgage at all during this whole time.
Oof.
So but yeah, like the amount of time it takes to like do these mortgages, at least I guess in my state, I don't know how all the other states are different, but
Mhm.
like, these people could be in the house for years not paying anything and just racking up the mortgage.
They could have filed for bankruptcy and cleaned up their credit in that amount of time
No
Yeah,
and
kidding.
bought a new house.
Wow.
yeah.
That's crazy. I know this is delved. I can't talk anymore. This has dive on in. This has dived on in into like a financial conversation and loans and stuff. But it pretty much covers over an overarching point. Jane, many loans, especially for low income people, won't allow you to pay outright. They have max payment allowances within periods. Huh.
Yeah. So
Whoa.
yeah, I've never experienced it just because the way my loans have been set up. I have my mortgage is backed by the VA, and they don't have early repayment penalties. And then my car loan is through Navy Federal, so the same thing. And then my previous car loan, I did basically what Stitic said, as I got the car loan and I paid it off cash. A few months later, because I looked at the interest rate and I was like, no thanks.
That kills me for real.
No.
But they do have max payment allowances or penalties if you pay the whole loan off within this amount of time. Then you have to pay this much extra, or you have to pay the entirety of the interest that you would have accrued if you just made the regular payments. So there's definitely places that do that because that's how they make all their money, is basically on interest and stuff and penalties. The bank penalties are insane.
Yeah, it seems to be a
Payday
common
loans? Yeah.
there's a common thread where a lot of the businesses for like loans or like check cashing or insurance that are specifically designed for poorer people always have these like methods in which they can exploit and get more money from them, things
yeah.
that like would not bother someone who had money and be like, oh
Well,
sure, I can pay this amount.
I mean, look at overdraft fees. I mean, $35 or per transaction or per day, however it's set up, for not having enough money to pay whatever bill tried to come out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the bank is like, yeah, we'll pay it, or even worse, they won't pay it, and then they'll still charge you for a returned check fee,
Thank you.
Mhm.
and then you get in this vicious cycle of every 2 weeks, and then
Mhm.
so you go, well, instead of paying $70 in two overdraft fees, I'm gonna go get a payday advance for
Mhm.
$70 instead, and it's the
Mhm.
same thing.
And they won't work with you. Because I got in that trap a couple times before where, like, I put in a payment for something that came out too early, and I was just but a couple days from getting my next paycheck or whatever, or the payment came out automatically too early. And then it's like, well, now I'm overdraft. Then you call them. Then it's like, oh, I already used too many allowances of my overdraft for the year. So no, we can't forgive it or whatever. And then I'm like, well, I don't get paid for another couple days. And then you guys are just gonna charge me another $35 tomorrow. So can you help me? Can you stop? Can you stop what you're doing? And they're like, no. I'm like, okay, bye, Felicia. Like you're just gonna keep charging me, and
Well,
I what do you do?
what I've seen is that a lot of bank accounts will come with their overdraft protection automatically turned on or enabled.
Mhm.
Um, so at some point, I just turned it off. I'm like, look, if I don't have money, nobody gets paid. Like that's how it should work.
Yeah, but they charge you for that a month. There's
It
a
it
fee.
it, it depends on what type of payments that you're making.
Mm,
If you're doing just I think it's ACH withdrawals directly from your
mm,
checking account,
yeah.
then it doesn't count as a I don't know, but I don't know the details, but I know that I then I get emails saying the payment didn't go through, and I'm like, that's fine, but at least I don't have a $35 fee. We'll figure that
I
out
know,
later.
right? Yeah. Thanks. I'd rather the payment did not work than to get that fee on my account. And I'm like, well, that's just 35, 70, whatever amount they kept taking out every day
Yeah,
less.
and it adds
Once I
up. It's like when you get that parking ticket and you go, well, I'm gonna, I already got one, right? So I'm just gonna leave my car there instead of paying the meter. And then you come out to another ticket.
Mhm.
Yeah, and you just want to strangle the next meter maid that comes by.
Like a trap. Okay, back to the comments. I'm sorry. Let's see. Susan, skeptics. And they never take the charges out in a logical fashion, like the smaller stuff first and then the big stuff. No, let's take out the big charge first and then hit you with fees for other shit.
Yeah, that happens when and I think there was lawsuits about this where they would automatically prioritize the higher transactions, and then they would hit you with all, like, say if you have a $500 one and then five $10 ones, they'd hit you with the 500 first, put you negative, and then hit you with five overdraft fees instead of doing it vice versa, which would hit you with one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know where that went, but I know that there was a lot of noise about that a few years ago.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a thing that either has, I mean, it's happened before and it's probably still happening now at some institutions.
Yeah. Yes. Ridiculous. Exactly. Actually, I think I recall that in one instance for myself too. I think it was like car insurance because my car insurance comes out automatically. And then I have like these other little charges like my Netflix subscription or whatever little stuff that may come out automatically at that same time. And I'm like, you double charged me that overdraft. And then, but it literally was the Hulu subscription that put me in the overdraft first. And then it was the other thing like 2 days later, but you charged me for that. And I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. Scandalous. Back to
Yeah, acidics. That's where everybody's mistaking, is that, you know, the customers are the product and the shareholders are the clients, right? You know, where they lend us money and use our money in our interest to make money for the shareholders. I mean, that's how corporations work in general.
Mm-hmm. Terrible.
They
Guys,
should
it's
be
just
in order.
easy. Just don't be poor.
Yeah.
Just
Go
don't be
out and
poor.
ask for a loan.
Just have money.
Just have money. Stop buying that $10,000 iPhone
Yeah.
and that really expensive car with spinners and some shit.
Hey, you leave my car alone.
Bro, if you get spinners on that dad van.
Woo boy. So did you guys want to talk about this stock thing, GameStop?
I'm not even sure what happened. Like, I guess a bunch of people on Reddit were like something about GameStop and the stock shot up, and then all the hedge fund people got sad because their money was lost. I don't even know what happened exactly. I just know
So if
everyone
you-
freaked out.
Yeah.
So if you bring up my screen,
Man.
I don't know if this is going to be readable or not.
Oh, it will be. I'm gonna make it happen, Captain. That's not readable.
Yeah,
Zoom in on that.
I'm working on it. I don't know how. Yeah, so hold on a second. I'll see if I can make it bigger or something.
Okay, we can just look at your face. Look at that face.
Look at that wee face.
Look at that face. You wouldn't believe, folks. He's young.
How do I zoom in? There it goes.
There you go. Yeah, now it's readable.
Okay, so basically it's saying that a short is in trading. A short is when you borrow a stock from a broker and sell it back at its current price. And then you hope the stock price falls such that you can buy the stock back at a lower price and return the shares you borrowed to your broker, but keeping the difference. So in this case, what it's saying is, let's say I want to short XYZ stock, which has a current value of $10. You borrow one, sell it at 10. So now you have $10, but you owe your broker one share. So the stock price drops, and then you buy that share back for $7. You give it back to the broker, and then you made a $3 profit. So what happened apparently with GameStop is that the value has been going down forever, or for quite some time. And somebody on Reddit found that there was a hedge fund doing like massive short trades against GameStop. So they were counting on the value of the stock dropping. So they would buy a bunch of stocks, or borrow a bunch of stocks, sell them, get all that money, wait for the value to drop, and then buy the stocks back and then give the stocks to the broker. I don't know how the legality or why this was ever a thing. But what happened is there was hedge funds that was currently borrowed a whole bunch of stocks and then sold them for their current price, waiting for the value to drop. But then the Redditors found that out, and then they started buying GameStop stocks, and they're very cheap. Or they were. And so every time you buy a stock, the value of that starts going up. So basically, like, all of Reddit decided to buy all the GameStop stocks to put this hedge fund in a bad situation, to where, you know, say if they bought however many it was for a set price, then the value skyrocketed. And so at some point they have to buy back enough stocks to return it to their brokers. And that's the point where they started losing billions and billions of dollars. And
Dang.
And then it didn't stop there. They're basically gaming the system, where they're doing it against other hedge funds, against other stocks. So they're actually looking for these and seeking them out, and doing it with other companies as well.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. Okay.
so it's a big kind of united effort. Now, I don't know how this is going to play out for the people that own these hyperinflated stocks when these bubbles bust.
Mm.
But right now, everybody's making a big game out of it because these hedge funds, I think they've lost over 60 or $70 billion so far.
Wow.
I mean, I guess it depends on how much they bought the stocks for. Because if they didn't buy them for that much, then maybe this is just like, hey, it was worth the however much money I put into it to watch these
Right.
guys.
Yeah.
Like,
And if there's
pay off.
10,000 people doing it for $10 a
Yeah.
piece or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah, it's nothing for each of those individual people. Like, all right, I can drop $10 to ruin $1 billion fund, and then they're like, oh, I lost my $10. Who cares? We just crashed $1 billion fund.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're not going to lose all of it because at some point there's going to be a big sell off, and that's when the bubble will bust. But in the meantime, it's going to be interesting to see what goes on with this because as this was going on, Robinhood, which is a really popular trading app for your phone that introduced a lot of young new people into the stock market.
Mm-hmm.
Stop them from trading GameStop shares, and then all the other brokerages did the same thing. They kind of like conspired against the people that were doing this, and then some of them opened back up, and then there's a big thing with Congress looking into it now, and it's a big mess. But of course, the rich people are all on the news and TV saying, "You guys don't know what you're doing. You're going to be in big financial trouble."
They're so upset.
Blah blah blah. Yeah, think of the hedge fund managers.
Oh yes, those poor hedge fund managers. I bet they can't
Sounds
get that
like the
extra
only way
pool
to
now.
really get change is to somehow, like with all these financial stuff and all the things that like rich people can exploit, is to somehow play it back at them so that they feel, oh no, we've been had. Quick, we need to fix it. And while they fix it for themselves, it's like, all right, we forced you to fix something we knew was broken, but it sounds like they won't
Right.
do it until something like that happens to them.
Now all of that transpired, that's not legal, right?
It's all legal.
Oh.
That's why this whole thing's crazy, right? Is because if I was a hedge fund losing billions to Reddit shit posters, I would get a second job driving for Uber, cut out the Starbucks, and skip the avocado toast.
What?
These hedge funds got to lift themselves up by their bootstraps.
Mm.
But that's the crazy thing is it's all legal, right? And that just so I mean, our stock market is federalized gambling, and they're basically betting on the perceived future value of a company, right? And because it's not tied to like products or a gold standard or the value of the dollar or anything real as we can see here. It's basically just supply and demand, just like with Bitcoin is too. But when you can artificially inflate the price of a stock like this, it just shows the inherent flaws in the system and how it was always meant and designed to work in the favor of people that had a lot of money to invest in it and to kind of take some losses, short-term losses for long-term wins.
Sorry, I was trying to look something up because I was thinking of I guess this wouldn't relate. The Bureau of Consumer Protections. I don't think that relates to anything surrounding this. No, that more or less deals with like loans and stuff or individual protections. So never mind. Wow. Okay. That I mean, you made that clear because I heard about it last night, but it flew over my head because I was just like, well, okay, an industry made money, but it's the other way around. They lost money because of something that they did and people took advantage of it.
Yeah, I've never looked into stocks much. Like I have like a 401k, so there's mutual funds and some safe long-term investments going on, but day trading is like a whole different thing. where I guess you're actually borrowing stocks and then betting on the values, going one, either borrowing stocks and betting on the value going down after you've sold it to rebuy it, or you're what is it? You're buying stocks, I guess, and waiting and hoping that the value goes up, and then selling it to get the profit. So it looks like it works both ways, but it's meant to be very short term, and a risky betting.
Oh, it's very risky. I know people my age doing that. I don't know anyone as far as doing Bitcoin, but you have to put in a certain amount of money and watch that shit constantly or not at all. I don't know. People have their mixed ways of doing it. And then you if it falls and then you take a loss, but you let it sit, and then if it rises, then you still let it sit. And I'm like, well, when the fuck do you draw out the money?
Well,
I don't
that's
understand.
well, some people use this, and this what 401ks do is they use this as your bank account, your savings account. You
No.
don't withdraw the money. You're betting and you're counting on these companies that you've invested in to continue to increase their market value.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what most retirement plans are built on now. You work for a union company, and you're probably getting some 401k matching and stocks as part of your retirement plan. So your company is telling you, as long as we do good, you'll have a retirement. But if we don't, maybe not so much.
Oh, my company is doing great.
Yeah.
So good right now. They just, whatever.
Yeah,
I
I
agree.
mean, I
Still.
have out of context.
Yeah. There's like a running thing on the ACD server. It's called Statics Out of Context. It's where we find a historical quote from Statics and just bring it up without any of the conversation, and then talk about that quote.
I'm gonna copy that. Save that for later. How long until
like
you
I have some money on Coinbase, which is like a cryptocurrency thing.
It's a wallet, so
and so I keep a bunch of like different monies in certain coins that kind of give like interest a little bit like how the stock market does. Instead of giving you money that you can use to buy stocks, it kind of gives you like stocks that then raise in price as the crypto goes up. So like every day I'll get like 0.001 of this type of crypto, and then depending on how much the price is, I'll either have a good chunk of money or like nothing. So it could like change like $20 in just the span of an hour with how much this is.
Just just for context, the value of a Bitcoin now is $34,000.
Yeah.
When I first heard about it back in, I think it was like 2011, it was like less than $100. So if any people that got in early and kind of bought a lot of this, they can be incredibly rich based on it. But the system is so it's so strange to think about how it works and why the value keeps going up, that a lot of people didn't get into it until the value started climbing mysteriously, like basically no explanation. But I mean, it's still not tied to any real world value as far as I know. It's basically just rises and falls based on how many people want Bitcoin or all the cryptocurrencies.
We're essentially applying our value to it.
Right. Well, in the beginning it was different because you mined it. So you were creating it, but then over time it became more and more expensive to mine. And then it just became this thing that people just primarily got through trading.
That's interesting.
Yeah, crypto is a very strange thing that I'm
I was,
passively in, but I don't put any of my real money into it really. There's like, I have the random interest that I'm getting for some of them, and then there's an app that I use that like if you walk around it gives you some, and after a certain amount of time you can cash it out for like, $5 worth of whatever. So it's like, it's
It's like
something.
Pokemon Go for.
Pretty much.
You
They'll
know
have
what?
Pokemon currency eventually, Pokeballs or something.
Pokecoin.
Pokecoins. There you go.
That's funny. I'm old school. I remember the good old days of Washington Mutual before it got transformed into Chase Bank, where with Washington Mutual, if nobody knows, someone got to know. One of y'all 5 folks. I'm kidding. There's more than that. A little bit more. One of you guys know Washington Mutual.
5.5.
7.
5.5.
I remember when TD Bank was Commerce Bank.
I remember that too. No, I
Well, I
had
remember when
Washington Mutual. Yeah.
I was in
No,
like
go for it.
3rd grade, and they came in and were like, "We're gonna help y'all make checking accounts and stuff." And we're like, "Cool." So they all gave us like a free $10 and like a bunch of Commerce Bank stuff, and that was how I opened up my first like savings account.
Yeah.
I was in
That's
3rd
legit.
grade, and these people just showed up and gave us free money. We're like, "Cool, sure, thanks."
Yeah, they don't do that shit anymore. No. No, it was legit because when I think I opened my first bank account when I was 16, something like that. Like I guess my dad assumed that was my official age to start kind of working towards being adult. So he gave me, I forgot how much. I think I got $100, and I had to put all of that in a bank just so I had a good hefty amount, because at that time with Washington Mutual, you weren't there were no fees applied if you didn't have a certain amount in there. Like whether you had $1, $100, didn't matter. You weren't charged because you weren't below a certain threshold of what you can have in that bank account, right? So, but the more you had, the more compounding interest, or the more compounding interest you got over time, meaning your bank account grew, even if you just had that $100 sit there and it just grew over, let's say, over a year, it got to be, I don't know, X amount of money over time without putting any more extra in. It's just the bank just fed you money because you had to sit there and there was a compound interest that just grew. That was my initial understanding of how banks worked. And I was like, this is cool. I'm just going to let my $100 sit on in there, watch it grow. And I'm just going to have all this money once I go to college and stuff or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Feeble minds. But then, fucking Chase Bank bought them. Oh, Washington Mutual had legit commercials too, but sorry, derailed. Chase Bank bought them, and all that shit changed. My account changed to whatever it was. And then, then you start learning about the fees and learning about what different types of accounts and stuff. And I'm
Different types
like,
of fees.
yeah, and I'm like, what? I don't like this. Give me back WAMU. Give me back my WAMU. That's what they called themselves. I was like, I miss WAMU. It was cool because I like their credit. I know I'm on a tangent now. I like their little debit cards too. They looked more legit. But anyways, I miss WAMU. Yeah, that was my story. I'm sticking to it.
Nice.
What did you say? Oh, Stitix has talked about this before. I had to find my Coinbase login. You do, Stitix. Please do.
I mean, think about it. So I'm just looking it up. Sorry, I'm down this rabbit hole. But in 2011, Bitcoin was $5.
And imagine now.
If you spent $100 in 2011 on Bitcoin, it would basically. I mean, you'd have. I can't do the math in my head. 30.
You'd have 20 things, 20 bitcoins.
20 bitcoins, yeah, times 34,000 each.
So like 600,000.
Yeah, for $100. But that's, yeah. Wow.
I'm sorry, Yeah, I got like $200 on my coin bank, so it's not terrible, but not, it's not like I'm gonna be a millionaire anytime soon, unless all of my things decide to shoot up suddenly like Bitcoin did.
Yeah, I remember watching it go from 3,000 to 5,000, 7,000, and it just never stopped. And it just went to 13,000, 19,000, and then it tanked. And I thought it was over. And then it recovered, and now it's up to 34,000.
I don't really.
Mhm.
Oh man, we
So
could have been rich.
so why just to kind of, I don't know if you want to wrap it up, or I just want to ask this final question for myself. Why even, like, I get maybe for most people that do this kind of daily trading, either for work or just for hobby or whatever, just for the thrill of watching your money go away and then come back. What's the overall purpose? Because I mean, I don't understand economics whatsoever. What's the overall purpose of, the constant trading, money in and out? Like, why not just be old school, save your money, and let that be that?
Because there's a lot more money to be made this way.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So the old school is, you give it to you can either like invest it or give it to a bank and have a savings account. But all these other institutions have to make money off of your money, or else it's not worth it for them.
Mhm.
Because they take all the money we give them. Say if 10 people give a bank $100, they take that 1,000 and go invest it in something else that has
Mhm.
a higher interest and or a higher rate of return.
Okay.
So it's all about chasing a higher rates of return, or these get rich quick things or whatever it may be. But I think the moment that they basically created corporations and public ownership of big companies, then they also opened up trading, and then this whole other industry of let's buy, sell, and trade ownership. And now it's this big old giant thing where if you don't have a significant amount of money invested in the stock market, there's basically no way to be have a good retirement unless you can somehow just put away money. But that's all of the wealth in our whole nation is tied up in the stock market.
Hmm.
Mhm. I mean, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, essentially, I guess, without actively watching it or looking at it, I am participating in that trade because of my 401k. But
Yeah.
besides
So
that,
yep. So your company has investment brokers, or they're paying somebody like Fidelity
mhm,
to, either through algorithms with occasional reviews or whatever it may be, is investing your money into the stock market
mhm,
in different types of funds and stuff like that. So you're relying on it doing well. I mean, when all the shutdowns happened, I bet if you checked your 401k, it tanked like everyone else's did,
Hmm.
sure
because
did.
it's all tied to the stock market.
Yeah.
And it's tough because not everybody understands it, and the people that understand it very well and have a lot of startup cash to get involved are going to be way ahead of people that don't, and people that don't have those extra funds to invest. They're going to be even further behind than they were in the beginning, just because they don't have extra money to put into it.
Hmm.
I mean, it's one of the only ways to outpace inflation.
Yeah, because I think the average return is like 10% or something. Again, like I listen to the Phil Ferguson podcast, and he just talks about that all the time. How there's pretty good rates of return into the stock market, even in years that are really bad, because eventually it kind of comes back up.
Wow.
So everyone invest. Mutual
Also, it
funds, index
enables
funds.
you. Oh yeah, I've heard. Yeah, investing in mutual funds. I heard that's like someone had phrased it as a cleaner way. I don't know what that really meant. Also, it enables you to participate in things you couldn't personally afford to, likely by pooling your money with its other clients' money. And Elle says, don't be a Karen.
Never be a Karen.
Good point. Good takeaway, Elle. I love it. Thank you. Ma'am. Well, I don't know much about money or economics, but that was good.
Three
But
people
you know
who don't know that much about economics and money. We talked a lot about economics and money.
We should.
I know about interest rates and bank fees.
That's all you need to know.
I know that I'm trying to fix my credit score.
The
so
number
I can get
one
back on
step
place.
is just don't be poor
Yeah.
and have money.
Poor people be like, you know what? I'm gonna change the title of this video to that. I love it. I love it now. I can't. But you know who does know about economics and monies and all the stuff that we talk about? Irish Swede, who will be on our show next Thursday.
Wow.
Oh, I love my segues. Don't you just love my segues, Justin?
Yeah.
I wish you'd be a little less excited.
More
Yes,
on it.
Even less excited.
even less excited than that, please. Thank you. Irish Reed, ladies and gentlemen, will be on our show next week, Thursday. Same time, same place. Beautiful faces, all that. So check out his channel. I forgot the link. I don't know where the link is, but I'll have it next week. So prepared. But yes, he'll be talking with us since it's not only Black History Month next week, it is also Marfan's Awareness Month. And if you don't know what that is, we will explain it to you next week. So just hold tight. And then, of course, talk about economic stuff because I may or may not have questions. I really don't. But he can learn you. I guess we're going to jump into having our after show. So if you're not already in the Discord, please go ahead and join the Discord at tinyurl.com/capital D for Discord, capital IF. Just trying to be literal. Yes. Rasputin. Rasputin. Where am I getting that name?
Well, Rasputin, it's Raspurrtin. So
Yeah, I know. Where is that name from? I know it's like a
Rasputin is like this was like this zealot Russian like sage who like cozied up to the czars.
Yes. That's why I keep like I want to say the appropriate way, but it comes out that way because it's just too close. Sorry. Yes.
His name sounds like a cat version of that.
Raspurrtin. There we go. I just gotta focus cat, and then I'll say it right.
I'll get some ears for you.
Where can we find you, sir?
Nowhere, anywhere. I am hidden in plain sight. I have a Twitter that I don't really use. I'm not anywhere yet. Once I become somewhere, I will let everyone know.
Excellent. We will find you. Justin, where are we going to find you?
Here, next Thursday.
And here.
He's not leaving the StreamYard. He'll just be here for the next week.
Yeah, use the same link next week.
Use the same link next week. Same level of excitement, same level of fun. You all love him. He's your skeptech because he got all the memes and all the cool shit. And then you can find me here too. And there. If you want to follow, because I don't really post anything. Sometimes I just share what he has. So, you get that. But that's it.
Apparently our ending is very depressing.
It is.
Should we do it like a dance? Dance the way out?
Do the dance. Do the dance.
Everyone just start fading away.
Do the dance, Justin. Do the dance.
Come on, Justin. You suggested it.
Yeah, buddy.
Dance.
And they say white man can't dance. There you go.
And they were absolutely correct. All right, let's go.
This ending is depressing. Thank you all for joining us tonight. We will see you next week, but we will also see you in the Discord, okay? Everyone, bye.